Let me show you our favorite way for you to log your training sessions. Whether you're just doing the 20-minute dynamic and stretch routine, or you're getting the added benefits of strength training and cardiovascular work, it's necessary for you to log your sessions the way that we are covering here. So I'm going to be demonstrating the process for you, especially on the computer, so that you can see it and follow along and get your tech set up with me. And then on page 124 of the playbook, you've also got a summary of the most important points that I'm covering. Now, the main reason why you're logging your training sessions, or the whole goal of doing this, is really two things. First, you can get relevant, detailed feedback from Craig and I in the weekly call about how to optimize the time and the energy that you spend training. And over time, that's going to allow you to track and review your progress so that you can fine-tune your training goals on a monthly, quarterly, or a yearly basis. And the second thing is what I can say from personal experience, because I actually wish that I had started logging my training sessions a lot sooner than I did. Because when I looked back 1 year later, 2 years later, even 3 years later, that log of my training sessions has become a huge source of pride for me, because I can literally see a visual representation of my commitment and my discipline. I can see my consistency despite holidays and events, traveling, or times that I was sick or super busy with responsibilities for work and family. I have the receipts for my commitment. And this training log is actually one of the ways that I've healed my relationship with myself and the old wounding that I had from years of self-betrayal of not showing up to care for my body. So in addition to that confirmation that I have in fact stood loyally by myself for the last few years, having those details about my training has been really helpful to make sure that I'm eating the right amount of food that supports my recovery and my body composition goals. So specifically by that, I mean making sure that I'm maintaining my muscle and seeing my body fat mass stay within consistent ranges that are preparing me to have very enjoyable decades later in life. Now, especially if you want to figure out how to stay in maintenance so that you're off any kind of yo-yo dieting and so you can maintain your physique year-round, then logging your training sessions is not just some boring little thing that you should give yourself permission to skip. It's actually a really crucial part of consciously getting to know your body so that you can keep your results. And to be clear, we're not saying that you have to log your training sessions forever, but you should log them until you really get to know your body specifically, your unique relationship between calories in, calories out, and how you feel with different amounts and volumes of training and types of training. So ultimately, what we're talking about here is part of the puzzle of how to develop the skills that allow you to really be and stay independent with your eating choices and your training so that you keep your results, feel great when you look in the mirror, and ultimately continue showing up as the leader that you are in your community. So your body composition, I mean your fat and your muscle, depend on two things. First, how much you're moving your body and how you move your body, and the food that you're eating. So at this point right now, you really do want to prioritize logging every training session so that you can receive quality feedback from us. Especially down the road, having the log and these records will make it much faster, much easier for us to troubleshoot challenges so that when you hit a plateau, not really if, but more when, and you might stop seeing the results that you're wanting, we're going to be able to look back and identify why you're on that plateau and then get you off the plateau so that you continue moving towards your goal. Now that you understand why this is really worth your time and energy to do, let me share how to do it so that you can get our feedback and keep track of it for yourself. I'm going to demonstrate how to set up your log on Google Calendar. It's free with your Gmail account. You don't have to pay for it. It's very easy to keep your work and your personal or your family schedule separate from your training calendar. It's easy to open it on your desktop computer so you can see things on a large screen. And it's also super easy to open it up on your smartphone while you're actually in the gym or the park training. And then you can color code your sessions. So for example, I usually use orange for lower body or leg day. Yellow is for sessions that are just dynamics, and blue or purple tend to be for arm day or shoulders. And when you tap on these events, you can also add notes and details about what you do. Inside these notes and details, you can keep track of how many sets or how many reps and the amount of weight that you're able to lift. And then any other important details that you might want to be able to remember, like changes in your mood, your energy, or any other physical challenges that that you might be dealing with. So if you want our feedback about how you're training, which we strongly encourage you to get, we do require you to share it with us via Google Calendar, because otherwise it's really challenging to have an efficient or a precise conversation about the exact steps that you should take to improve. So basically, your Google Calendar log is reflecting and keeping track of how you actually spend your time and your energy when you're training. So let's get set up with your calendar. The first step is to make the calendar itself. After you set this up on your computer, you can keep using it from the app for Google Calendar, specifically on your phone. The first thing is to make sure that you are in the correct email account, because it's very annoying to make the calendar in the wrong place. So from your email, make sure that you are in the correct account by clicking on this signature. You might have a photo or a monogram for your account here at the top. And when you know that you're in the right place, then navigate to Google Calendar, either by clicking on these 9 squares to open the apps and then clicking calendar from the menu, or you can open a new tab and just type in calendar.google.com, which will take you to the exact same place. That's going to bring you to a page that looks like this. And over on the left side, there are 3 different plus icons. So watch carefully here, because you want to make sure that you're clicking the correct icon. We want to go down to this part that says other calendars at the bottom. There's this plus sign. This is the plus sign we're going to click, not the other 2 up above. We are adding another calendar. And from here, this menu gives you the choice to create a new calendar. So click that one. Here in the name, we're going to give it an obvious name like FS for Fit System, and then your full name, first name, and last name. My example, Paula Prieto. And now I'm going to click the blue Create Calendar button here. We know that we are successful if on the left side under Settings for Calendars, we see the layer show up over there. Now, it is possible later you can actually share this with us by going into it and changing the access permissions for who has access to it. But right now, this is enough at this point. So when you navigate out of settings and you're back on the main calendar, you're going to see on the left side in this navigation menu that now there's this new layer that we just made, FS and then first name, last name. Can you see how there are these check marks that are next to these different calendar layers? This is really important because, again, this is another place that people can get annoyed. Make sure that you have the check mark next to the Fit System one. Okay, so when you are looking at Google Calendar, you've got a couple of different options for the views. I personally like choosing this month view up here because it lets me see the big picture, but it is possible to choose the week or the day. So the first time that you train, you're going to click on the day where you want to add it. On a computer, you just click in the cell for the space for the day, and that automatically pops up a box where you can add your event. So you would put how many minutes you did it for, and then you're gonna add what you did. Like in this case, lower body workout number 1. And then down in this description area, you can type details about how many sets you did, how many reps, the weight, things like that. So as my example, I might make some notes about how I warmed up, like 5 minutes on the stationary bike, followed by a quarter-mile jog, and then dynamics on the treadmill. After that, let's say that I did squats enhanced by knee drives. And let's say that the first set that I did was 10 with just an empty bar. So I did that with body weight, just getting comfortable with moving it. The second set that I did 10 reps, and this time I added a 25-pound plate on each side of the bar. So this is where you can choose exactly how you want to keep track of this. I don't measure the total weight The bar actually weighs 45 pounds, and then with one 25-pound plate on each side, that's another 50 pounds, or a total of 95. But I don't keep track of all of that. I just keep track of 25-pound plate, like that's what I'm adding. So there is some flexibility with that, just because here I've already identified I'm lifting a bar that's 45 pounds. And just like so, I would be able to add in the details about my first primary lift. Then I could go on and add what I did as my secondary lift. Let's say it was lunges. The first set I did 10 with body weight. The second set I did another 10 holding a 7.5 pound dumbbell in each hand. And in the third set, I went back to body weight. And then before I click save, I can change the color down here by choosing orange, since I like using that for lower body. Then I'm going to click the save button. And of course, I can come back and edit that as many times as I need to, simply by clicking on the event itself and then choosing the pencil to edit the event. And this works on the computer and your phone as long as you've got the app for Google Calendar installed. One of the most common mistakes with Google Calendar is the mistake that I just demonstrated for you. So with these different layers and the check marks that are over here, you've got this main layer that has your name. Unless you changed it at some point in the past, it should have your first name and your last name set as a default by Google. Whenever that box is checked, which it currently is on my demonstration, that will mean that anything that you add automatically goes onto that layer. So if we turn off this layer, that workout training session that I just added disappeared because it's actually on the main layer. The very quick solution for this is to open it, click the pencil, and then next to this icon, which has this calendar guy, you're going to click and then choose the fit system or the training schedule that you made. Just like that. That's all we have to do. That fixes it. Then we press save. And now, if I deselect or turn off the main layer of the calendar, we'll still get to see that event. It does change the color of it when we do this. So if I want to fix it, I can right click and then this menu opens and I can choose my original orange color. So now we know we have it in the right spot. And if I turn off this particular training schedule, the event disappears. So that's how we know we've got it in the right place. The blue dot on the calendar shows the day for today, and at this point, a lot of people enjoy creating some kind of plan for future events. You are welcome to plan out your intended workouts on Google Calendar, but either way, we want to be super clear. Your log is not what you hope to do, your log is what you actually do. So if you put your plans on here, kind of like this example that I'm showing you right now, it is necessary for you to update every single one of these sessions and events with any modifications that you made. Because you can see that this plan is ideal and perfect. And in reality, very, very few of us actually train with that kind of consistency because we are busy adults with full lives. Even Craig does not train with that kind of consistency. So the good news is that you can get lean, toned, and stay strong even if you do not follow an extremely regimented training schedule like you're seeing. Right now, you're seeing an example of my real training log, and you can see that there are some gaps because even though my intention is to move every day, the reality is that it doesn't always happen like that. Let me take you through a couple of examples of how you can update the events on your calendar or your plan to match the reality of what actually happens on a daily basis. Example number one is how you might delete a planned training session altogether. Let's say my plan is to go for a really beautiful hike on Saturday, but unfortunately I get a stomach bug and I might be able to still muster up enough energy to take a very slow walk around my neighborhood block so that I can get some blood circulation to help with cell repair and immune system function. But even doing dynamics is really still out of the question because it just requires too much for me. So on that day, I'm going to delete any training event entirely and I'm just going to leave a blank spot on the calendar. This means that I did not do any official training that day. No dynamics, no strength training, no hike, no stretching. It doesn't mean that I didn't take a walk, but no official training. Example number 2 is how you might modify the description for a workout when you might not be feeling 100%, because every day is a little bit different and you are not a machine. So let's say that my plan on Friday is to do a 60-minute upper body workout number 2. And specifically, that's 15 minutes of warm up with bike, jogging, and light dynamics, followed by pull-ups enhanced by a dip. And maybe I'm thinking I'm gonna do 3 sets, 10 reps each, the first time using full assist on the machine so that I'm not putting anything other than just my body weight going through the motion. And then I might offset it by 120 pounds and then offset by 110 pounds. And with Big 21, maybe I'm planning on doing my first set with 7 reps and a 20-pound barbell. And then the next time I do it, I want to increase the weight to 25 pounds and then 30 pounds, because everybody loves this idea that they're getting stronger and they're doing more. But in reality, sometimes we're just not really ready to do that much. So let's say that the first week on April 10th, I do great. I've got tons of energy because I'm really motivated to start my training program. But when I get in there on Friday, April 17th, maybe I'm not feeling as good. So if I need to make any changes on this, I'm going to do that here. So let's say, for example, that the first time that I'm doing my pull-ups, maybe I find that I actually can't do 10 on my second set. I might only do 8. And if I'm going to stop at 8 because I don't want to get reckless, I don't want to hurt myself, I'm going to stop earlier so that I can keep going, I would just adjust that number on here. And the third set that I do, again, if I needed to do 8 reps only, I would just change that here. And then I would just keep going through the gym, editing only this event, not all of them, because this is just the one that I'm doing for today. And then I would go through some things in the gym, do some more, maybe then work on Big 21. And now again here, let's say that perhaps I find that these weight targets are a little bit too much for me. Maybe what happens is my first set of 7, I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good with 20 pounds. I feel like I'm definitely in control. And then I'm feeling motivated, like, ooh, yeah, I'm gonna hit 25 pounds the next time. But maybe the reality as I'm doing that is that's actually harder than I thought. And instead of being able to get 7 reps the next time, I might only get to 4. And that's okay, because again, Big 21 is something that's really important to be extremely careful with. You have got to be in control with that. You cannot take a risk. So if I feel like I'm starting to get reckless with that 25 pounds, I'm noticing any signs that I'm getting to a high level of effort and pain, I'm going to cut it short because I'm going to protect myself. So I'm only going to do 4 reps on set number 2. I'm going to take my break and I'm going to see how I feel. And I'm not going to up the weight at this point because that would be a mistake. So now when I go back for my third set, I am not going to go up to 30 pounds. I already know from my second set that would be a mistake. I'm going to go back to 20 pounds. So here, I would just edit this and change it so that I stick with my 20-pound barbell. That's where I know that I'm in control. And if I can get a good 7 reps on that, I'm going to be really proud of myself. Then when I get into fly raises, let's say that the plan is that I'm going to do 3 sets, 10 reps each, holding a 2.5-pound plate in each of my hands. But I might discover on this first one that, especially after just doing pull-ups and Big 21, this might be harder than I thought that it was going to be. And again, I don't want to get hurt so that I can't come back. So I'm not going to be crazy obsessed with hitting 10. I'm going to modify this. And let's say maybe I get through 7 the first time that feel clean, because again, we don't want to be reckless. And the next time that I do it, I might find that I can do 8, but instead of doing 2.5-pound plates in each hand, I might go down to 1-pound dumbbells in each hand if I feel like I need it to be a little bit easier. And if that feels good and I'm like, yeah, you know what, actually, I do feel like I can keep doing that, I'm going to keep it at that point and finish up set number 3. Again, with 8 clean, strong, and in control, just holding 1-pound dumbbells. These kinds of things that I've just described are important if you're getting into strength training for the first time or after a long absence. And they're also important to pay attention to if, ladies, you're going through a certain time of the month. It may not be reasonable for you to do such intense workouts at certain times. Or for anybody who is dealing with any injuries or sickness, these kinds of adaptations are necessary. And it's not about weakness, it's about making sure that you can continue going without getting hurt and enjoy yourself. Another place that you may need to do modifications or adaptations is during your warm-up period, because depending on the day, it might be too ambitious to do a quarter-mile jog. Let's imagine that has a G on it instead of a B. And the dynamics that you do also may need to change. It might not always happen on the treadmill. And even though certain days you might get more advanced or do intermediate, other days, depending on your physical capacity, you might need to dial it back to the beginner level dynamics. Now, you can see that I'm not necessarily writing notes here about all of that because it gets into a level of detail that's unnecessary, but I'm talking you through it because there can be days that you don't feel great and you may need to adapt your dynamics. So those are just basically two examples of how you might update your log inside Google Calendar to reflect your reality of what you're actually doing. So now that you've got your calendar set up and you've watched me demonstrate how to use it, it is your turn to start using it daily to keep track of how you're moving your body. Now, if you're new to Google Calendar, let me share 7 useful tips that can make it even easier to log your training sessions. Tip number 1. Download the app to your phone. So if you didn't visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, head there now. Search for Google Calendar and download the app that has this icon. Tip number 2, toggle the layers on and off by tapping or clicking on the check mark. You'll find those layers in the left-hand menu on both your computer and the phone. Tip number 3, you can restore events from the trash by clicking the gear icon at the top right corner of the screen and then choosing trash like you see here. This only works on desktop. Tip number 4, color code your training sessions. You've got a rainbow of options to choose from, so use colors that make sense to you to help you keep track of the categories and the types. Tip number 5, duplicate events to save time. When you view events like this, you'll notice those 3 dots I circled red. Tapping or clicking on that will open a menu with duplicate, and then you can decide what date you want to schedule the event. Tip number 6, configure repeating events. For example, you should be doing Zone 2 training once a week, and while you're creating this, you'll see the option to choose a repeat. Play with the options until you're happy with the repeating schedule. You can also configure repeating events that are monthly. In this case, the monthly check-in makes sense if it happens on day 1 of every month. Tip number 7, search for keywords by selecting the icon shaped like a magnifying glass at the top of the screen and then typing in the keyword that you're thinking of. Google Calendar will show you all of the events that have that keyword either in the title or the description that you typed. All right, I hope that's been helpful for you. And if you have any questions, you know how to ask.